Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Whiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Whiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less. Today, our guest is Jessica Yarbrough, and she is the creator of the CEO Babe brand. She is a successful marketing strategist and a leading business consultant for female entrepreneurs. Jessica helps women leverage their unique gifts to create high-end coaching and consulting businesses, build rock star brands, and create their online empires. Welcome, Jessica. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, absolutely love the name CEO Babe. So ingenious, so creative. I really love that name.
Thank you.
And to get started, Jessica, can you share a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Definitely. One of my biggest challenges, which is part of my story, was when I first started my business, I had stepped out of the business world for about 4.5 years. I had built startup companies, I had managed companies, I had this wealth of experience at a very young age, but it also came at a high cost to my mental state, my emotional state. So I took a 4-year journey that I traveled the world. I backpacked through Southeast Asia, through Central America. I became a yoga teacher. It was this whole spiritual personal development journey that I went on. So my challenge was when I got pregnant with my daughter, which was a surprise, I became an unexpected, single mother, and I was completely on my own. So I didn't have the funds, her father wasn't in the picture, and I had to very quickly figure out a way to make real money and create a life for my daughter and I. Mm-hmm. The biggest challenge with that was I had been completely out of the business world. I didn't have any relationship with my former contacts. I didn't have any desire to go get a marketing job because I knew that would mean dropping my daughter off at 6 a.m. and picking her up at 6 p.m. and having 2 weeks or more, maybe 3 weeks paid vacation a year. So I was really caught in a tough choice because my family was like, get a job. We know that you can make good money being a marketing person. And my heart said, I don't ever want to do that again. It's been way too long. I'm not going to get a job. I've had one job in 15 years. Right. Or something like that. It's like, I can't do that. So I had to build my business from the ground up with no contacts and nothing but a lot of hard work and unwavering determination to create something amazing for my daughter and I.
Well, kudos to you for following your heart. So many people, they get into that situation, and because so many of our family and friends don't even understand the entrepreneur journey and definitely try to force you into getting a quote unquote real job. And so kudos to you for following your heart and showing, even a great role model for your daughter to follow your heart, and then you're going to be successful.
Thank you. As my experience with leaving my startup company, I know that if something isn't a good fit, that my soul will not allow me to stay. And I think a lot of people have these feelings. Mm-hmm. Maybe it goes 10 years, 20 years, and for whatever reason, you stay because maybe you have a family, you don't feel like you can leave, you invested $50,000 in your education, you feel like you're married to that job forever, to that industry, to everything. But I know that if you're in pain, if you're feeling that emotional pain and it's manifesting in anxiety, insomnia, ulcers, whatever, right, that's your spirit saying you need to do something else. And so follow that.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think there's so many unhappy people in the world in general, because I think they say like 80% of people hate their jobs.
Sure.
So naturally, you can't hate your job even if you have a good, loving family. You're still taking that pain home with you.
Absolutely, because think about how many hours you're spending at your job. So yeah, it is really important.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure this is probably one of the challenges that businesswomen face even. So my next question for you was, what are some of the challenges that businesswomen face?
Well, definitely motherhood. As a single mom, when my child gets sick, that is the hardest thing, because we know when baby gets sick, mama gets sick. Unfortunately, I don't have any family and where I live in San Diego anymore. So that definitely puts the pressure on me, pushes back deadlines. And that's true for all mothers. Even if you have a partner, I'm sure they work, there's that added pressure when you are a mama. So that's a big one. That's probably the main thing. I don't think I face individual challenges as a woman compared to a man. I feel like that the online space and where we are progressively in the world and with, I guess, the field I'm playing in, the opportunities are that it's a pretty level playing field. So if I can learn the strategies and the man learns the strategies, as long as we hold our value and our self-worth, we can charge the same. We can make the same amount of money.
Right.
Limited by, yeah.
And also, once a mother, always a mother. And it's one of the things that I always love about my business is, both my children are adults, but in 2015, my son broke his neck. He lives in Phoenix. And so I had to go live with him for a year to take care of him. And I was very grateful that I had my own business, that I could reschedule things, but I could still make a living and take care of my son, who was near and dear to my heart. And he has made 100% full recovery. So I always like to add that. But, whenever we have, it may not even be a child, it may be a parent or a sibling or somebody that you have to take care of. And it's one of the blessings of having your own business, that you can take it anywhere.
Right. In fact, I just posted on social media, one of my bigger visions with having my daughter, who's 4 now, was to show her the world. And I joke because I say she's the most well-traveled 4-year-old I've ever met. And I took her to 7 countries last year.
Wow. Yeah.
We just booked another trip to Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Barbados, and Antigua. And I wrote this kind of emotional post where, I was flat broke 5 years ago, and I could never imagine this becoming my reality. And to see that transformation is so incredible and inspiring, not only to me, but also to those around me.
I love it. And you recently wrote a blog post, and I was sort of intrigued. I was intrigued by it, but it was 5 steps to rapidly build your influence and attract an endless stream of dream clients to work with you. So can you give us a few tips or a few of those steps on how to do that?
Sure. So the first step is finding your edge. And this is your superpower, your unique brilliance, the problem that you can solve better than anyone else, and focusing on that edge and nothing else. And when you do this, you can easily transition from being a generalist or a jack of all trades, master of none, into being positioned as a specialist. Specialists are in demand. They can command more money. They're sought after. So that's the first one. The second step is, rather than create a course and launch a million different things to focus on one high-end offer, you start high and back build low. That is the fastest path to cash. And you solve an urgent problem for your clients, and you offer a major solution, and you charge a premium for your prices. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is to grow your network. So a lot of people are out there, they say, Jessica, I've been at this for a year. I post 5 times a day on social media. The first thing I do is I go look at their network. How big is their network? And I mean connections. So let's take LinkedIn, for example. If you have 500 connections, it's going to be really hard for your ideal client to see your message and then buy. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn, make sure that you do not just accept all the random people that are constantly sending you connections. Make sure that you have a curated audience of your target market. So for mine, it's coaches and consultants and other service-based providers. So I know that everyone that sees my content are those people, and you want to grow your network, because the bigger your network, the greater chances your content is going to be seen. The 4th step is creating credibility. So a lot of people, they want to be known as the expert, but they're not taking action to be proven and positioned themselves as the expert. And my philosophy is, rather than constantly pitching in Messenger or, LinkedIn Messenger or Facebook Messenger your services, to lead with so much value that people turn and say, how do I work with you? And it's playing for the longer game, but as we know, entrepreneurship is not a sprint, right? It's a marathon. And so constantly leading with value. I do so much incredible free trainings. I did a 30-minute one yesterday. I did a 20-minute one the day before. I did a 40-minute one last week that was 3 parts, leading with so much value that people have no other choice but to say, I'm going to hire her. Why would I hire this other person who hasn't shown me they know what they're talking about and given me something without asking anything in return? It's a crazy concept. So this is how I built my business. The 5th step is actually inviting people to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
Inviting people to say, when they raise their hand and say, here, absolutely, let's hop on a quick call. And that's the 5th step. Notice that I never pushed anything onto anyone. I pulled them into my sphere, into my influence, into my circle, into my network, and they become raving fans. They love and adore me. They buy from me. They refer people to me. Mm-hmm. That's how I built my business and how I recommend people build theirs, my clients, to build theirs.
Great steps. And I think I know the answer to this, but you say that you don't want to just have discovery calls with just anyone. So can you share the best way to attract and get high qualified discovery calls?
Well, for one, it's not pitching people that you connect with on LinkedIn right away. Like, hey, guess what? You're just in time for my webinar, which we all know is not true. And do you really want to lead with that?
Right.
So it's, again, leading with value. The strategy I use is I send, when I connect people, I send them links to my content so that they can get to know me. This is also an algorithm hack because it shows LinkedIn that they are interested in what I'm putting out. Of course, what I'm putting out is great. So it's right. They're clicking through, but it also leads with value, and it's so refreshing because I'm not saying, hey, opt into my funnel right now, right? Give me your email address so I can market to you. Watch my webinar so I can pitch you something at the end. The webinar, 2 webinars I have, I don't even pitch anything at the end. I say, if you're interested, book a call, right? So it's a different approach than the pushy internet marketer icky kind of feeling that so many people are using. And I lead with value, and they naturally come onto my list. They naturally buy. I had someone who found me, I don't know how, on LinkedIn. We weren't connected. He found my content. Someone shared it, followed me. We chatted in Messenger. I asked him a question. He said, oh my gosh, I've been searching for this answer for 2 years. You just gave it to me for free. He bought a product yesterday. So it's a different strategy. It's the giving strategy.
You know, I absolutely love that and couldn't agree with you more. I've used the analogy before, you know, if you're walking down the street and the shop owner comes up on the sidewalk and pulls you into a store and says, look at all my stuff, you've got to buy it. You're going to think, what the hell? But that's what so many marketers do, is they're trying to, you know, everybody's like, how can I get clients? So they're trying to drag them in.
Yes.
And whenever you're just there and you have, you know, a nice window dressing and you have nice stuff and you allow people to come in naturally, that's where the magic happens, makes and allows you to work really with your ideal clients, people who want to be there, who don't feel like they've been forced into it.
Right. And exactly, they've raised their hand. So that's how I get on the phone with qualified clients. They literally raise their hand and say, how do I work with you? And what's so cool is, see, I never hard sell anyone. It's like, you're either ready or not. And there's so many people out there who are desperately getting someone on the phone and then using NLP tactics or shaming tactics, whatever it may be, to close them. Those are nightmare clients. They resent what you just did to them, and they don't want to be there. They're not going to do the work. They're not going to refer anyone to you. Wouldn't you rather have someone raise their hand and say, how can I work with you? Great.
Exactly.
Okay, let's have a call. Okay, how can I pay you? It's such a better feeling.
Mm-hmm. And also, I don't know, real quick here, you have 5 areas that you need to fix right now to create consistent 5-figure months. So can you briefly go through those?
5 areas. Let me see if I can remember what they are. Definitely playing to your strengths, specializing in one thing, kind of like what I mentioned before. Not trying to be everything to everyone, right? We talked about that. Showing up consistently and treating people like human beings. You could say those.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I wrote in that particular post, but this is the stuff that I talk about a lot. It's about relationships.
And I love that. Great answer. Great answer. And Jessica, can you share a strategy that our listeners can implement in 15 minutes or less to build their business?
Absolutely. So what I want you to do is take your biggest customers' pain points and come up with a list of 5 different video topics that you can do, 5 to 10 minutes long each, and go live or do a video snippet. If it's on LinkedIn, you want it to be under 10 minutes so that it doesn't have to be hosted on YouTube, and break their belief systems and show them a way out. And post that every single day, 5 days a week, with a call to action to do something, to join your list, to join your LinkedIn group, to DM you if they want to connect further.
Well, that's a wonderful tip. Thank you very, very much. Everybody needs to start on that right away. It's a great tip. Love it. And Jessica, I know that you have an absolutely fantastic gift for our listeners. So can you share a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So everything I've been talking about around building your influence and pulling people to you rather than pushing your services, I broke this down in a 3-part video training. It's free. It's called How to Quickly Build Your Influence so you can easily attract those high-paying clients and make 10K plus a month in your coaching or consulting business. So it's phenomenal. I'm literally breaking it down step by step. And like I mentioned, nothing is being sold at the end.
Sounds great. So to our listeners, you want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Jessica, all lowercase, Jessica, and grab your free 3-part video training series on how to quickly build your influence so that you can easily attract high-paying clients. It's an absolutely wonderful gift, and it will get you moving forward. Jessica, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
My parting words would be this. If you are in the same position that you were 6 months ago, ask yourself this question: what wasn't I willing to do? And then go do it right now.
I love it. That's fantastic. Thank you so very much for being my guest today, Jessica. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. Hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com, Jessica, where you're going to find all links from today's show, and you'll be able to re-listen to Jessica's words of wisdom. She had a lot of them that you may want to go back and jot some notes down. While you're there, be sure to grab your free 3-part video training series on how to quickly build your influence so that you can easily attract high-paying clients and make $10,000 a month plus in your coaching or consulting business. Big hugs, and be sure to tune in next week for another great episode of Biz Success in 15. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.